If by chance you are dreaming right now, wake up! Welcome to Horror Nights! Welcome everybody to Horror Nights. Tonight we got a very special guest in the house, the one and only Derrick Avant. Welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thank you very much for having me on here.
I always tell you, I try to gain and meet, people that have, not only just directed horror movies, but also, produced them, done sound work for them, acted in them. I don't believe a movie is just one person's project. While it might be one person's vision, it takes the whole tribe of that team to put it together.
Mhm.
And, the most important part of any movie is what we see on screen, and that's the actors.
Yes, yes. 100% agree with that. The actors are there to entertain as well as make people want to watch more and more with them, or more and more from the people that create these wonderful universes that we as actors are involved in. But we could not do anything without people behind the camera, from the producers to the directors to the makeup people. I can out say a line all day long, but without those individuals putting the makeup on, editing the film just right, I mean, there would be pointless for us to do that, because then you would see nothing that's entertaining.
No, but I always love it how you could take two people and put them in the same role, even reading line for line, and just with what they bring to the table, their individual mannerisms, it can become a totally different movie or perceived a
Yes,
different way.
100%, 100% yes. My
Even
experience. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, like, even like for me, like in a horror movie, like something like The Shining. Shining's a great story, but at
Hmm.
some point, Jack Nicholson, the actor, ended up taking that movie away from Stephen King, away from the Shining story, away from everything, and it became about
Hmm.
Jack Torrance, and it became about him. And that movie is most notable for his roles.
Oh, 100%. I think that's what actually escalating from one level to the next level and made people know the name Jack Nicholson as a household name now. I'm thinking without that movie, I mean, you may have had other movies like Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but movies like The Shining, which was a phenomenal book in its own right, but to have an actor like Jack Nicholson portray the main character, I just don't see another actor portraying it just like he did, or even
No,
better than.
and I think it kind of leaded up to people like, hey, this guy can do all these roles. Let's,
Hmm.
got the Joker role for Batman. That
Hmm.
was a big pickup, and then other comedy roles, but those were more of his darker roles in his earlier days.
Exactly, exactly.
But
And that,
look,
as an actor, that's
look,
where it's. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I didn't know. I was just saying. Go ahead, type.
Yeah, as an actor, I mean, it's just the taking on the roles. Like for me personally, I only do roles whether it's horror or drama or comedy or action if the story is there. Without that story being 100%, it's just not going to show on the film. I mean, you can come in and be the most phenomenal actor there is, but without the correct story and without the filmography there, it's just not going to portray on screen for the fans to watch and want you to become, more and more. I like the Conjuring movies are some of my favorite movies as far as horror goes. And if it was the right actors in those places, those spots, you're just not going to have people want to come back to see them more.
For me, it's like it's not even about wanting to see more. It's like I can't get invested in you as a character. Now, let's just say you're supposed to be, the antagonist or the protagonist. It doesn't even matter who you are in the film. If you're the victim and you're really annoying, or I find you not to be a good role for that, I don't care what
Hmm.
happens to you. So I don't feel for them. And then if the killer gets you, oh well. And it's like you want to build a bond between the character and the audience so that we do feel for them. Everything that happens to them, we start to feel, and you gain us. Because we, like you said, you want them like other forms of entertainment, like wrestling, for instance, where I come, started in doing stuff, pro wrestling. You want the fans to cheer for the good guy and boo the bad guy, and you kind of want that
Hmm.
kind of in cinema. And if the characters are like aren't relatable, it doesn't happen. The bad guy ends up becoming favorite.
100%. I'm in total agreement with you. And when as a fan, I watch movies, I'm like, I really don't like that character. I don't care if they die or not. I don't care if they're the bad guy or the good guy. So the best thing for an actor, and a lot of people hear me say this on set, is um, how did that show on camera? Was the chemistry there for the other actors? Because if you don't have chemistry with your other actors or actresses, it's not going to be a good film either, because you're just going to be a couple people that are there just saying lines to each other. So you got to have that really strong chemistry with either your other male or your other female actors that are in those scenes with you. And you may have
Well,
just met this
that's the other
person
thing.
5 minutes prior.
Acting's not a one person job. Even as a lead, you still have co-actors and other stars and
Hmm.
other people that you got to vibe with and get with. And I mean, I think that can become a challenge of its own because every actor, let's face it, has their own little quirks. They come in
Hmm.
with their own little things and they want their own little things done. Even I mean, it might not be totally like that on the independent level. 'Cause I think there is some kind of a family kind of bondship that happens between the director, the cast, the crew, everybody. They end up becoming part of this project that we all know isn't funded by a million billionaire Hollywood studio. It's
Hmm.
produced by someone that just has a vision and his love for horror. So it becomes more of like passion. But on a
Hmm.
major set or even in mid sets where you start bringing in Hollywood or ex Hollywood people, it's like everybody has their own little things and placements and what they want and what they won't do. And
Hmm.
it can be a little tedious work.
It most certainly can. And I have a lot of, I work different jobs other than acting, and I got a lot of coworkers and friends of mine that ask me how it is. I said, the number one thing is as an actor, if you have to know your lines, you have to know your places, obviously, because I mean that's what you're hired to do is to do that. But the other thing is to learn how to get that chemistry just right, because like you said, it's everybody's got their own quirks. You got to and understand and respect each other as far as those go, because you may have only met that person an hour before you even say action. You may have just met each other doing makeup, and now you got to play the scene where you're supposed to be in love with each other. So that's what I have found. It's sometimes the hardest, because I've done TV shows, I've done movies now, short films, I've directed and written drama myself, and that's where the most exciting, but also the scariest part to me is the person that I'm going to be in the scene with feeling the same way I do, and does he or she want to um, make this scene just as phenomenal as I do, and what is our chemistry on camera? Because you also as an actor, you don't want to stop in the middle of a scene, look at that camera again, and second guess everything you just did when it could be the best work you've done. So that's where that fine line is that I've had to learn personally is um, where is that line when they say cut? Do you want to see that scene? You're going. And most actors will say no, I don't want to see myself that little camera and see how betrayed, because you're going to second guess everything you just did. And if you say I want to shoot another one, and it may most likely going to be worse than what you just shot. So that's what I always ask. And a lot of my co-stars and a lot of stuff I'm doing, the director and the writer and producer, all everybody behind the scenes, like my number one question: how did that come off? How did that come across the screen? Does it look right? Is this the vision you have for these characters?
But at
So
some
it's
point, I think that I mean, even the like I said, as an actor, I've done stuff for myself, or worked in my own films and acted for myself, and so forth. And I've done some other little odds and ends here and there. But if you do, you can get hung up on, do I have the right facial expression? Do I have the right this? Do I
hmm
have the right that? And at some point, you just got to say, you know what? That's what editing is for. That's what the cutting is for. That's where we
hmm
get in and do cinematic magic. Because some of these takes, yeah, it might look like crap now, but once it's edited right and timed right, and it has
hmm
a sound to it, and this all this other stuff, it fits right in, and nobody thinks about it.
Oh, definitely. That's the I call the magic part of the filmmaking world is the editing and the coloring of the film when they're doing the editing process is how they put this scene over here that we shot 2 weeks ago and this scene we just shot today and edit those things where they're just smooth across the whole thing. That's amazing to me to watch and see that final product.
Oh yeah, I mean, like even sometimes you'll see people, they'll film in front of a house or whatever, and you'll see the characters walk in there. But later you'll realize, like, oh, you'll know because you read or whatever. Like, yeah, that was just the front of the house. They shot that.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the scene, 3 weeks later when they had access to some motel room, but
Mm-hmm.
everything, like you said, the color, the lighting, everything, that's the continuity makes it so it's a movie. I mean,
Oh
because
yeah.
movies, for the most part, even if you're filming a movie that takes place in a day, it's not going to take a day to make that movie. It's going to take, if it's a feature, it could take months.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Most
Um,
definitely.
and
And I tell you, it's more stressful doing those features than it is a TV series in a way because at least a TV series you have the ability to build that character slowly up. Where your goal in a feature is to make your audience, make your fans almost instantly fall in love with your character,
like,
and you just
yeah,
and that
like
comes
first five
yeah,
minutes, they gotta love you.
yes, or love you or hate you depending on the character you're portraying. But when they turn that video on or they're in theaters and we're watching you, you got to know that you did the best you could and that your audience is going to love you. Because I mean, the one thing you don't want to be is out in public and your audience go, "That was horrible." You want them to come to you. I want to see you on more. You did such a great job. We loved it. Without the fans, we wouldn't be doing the acting.
Now, let me ask you, when did you get into acting?
Honestly, I'm from a small town here in Arkansas, so I've always wanted to be an actor. I'm a huge movie person. I love every every kind of genre there is. I just never had the opportunity until last May, and when I was able to direct and write my own short film, and it really got me into that. I took some acting classes around that same time period. There was a big feature that came here in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and I was in it as a background. I did a short film as a background. I fell in love with the camaraderie between the actors. I mean, that is something that you just don't see very often, where people have just met and they're instantly working with each other. They're instantly pumping each other up. They're instantly pushing each other to be better. And after I got that, I started getting speaking roles very quickly after that. I mean, I've got friends that have been doing it for a couple of years, 2 or 3, even 15 years. They said that my resume has grown quickly. I think I shared with
Yeah,
you my resume, and that's honestly that resume is only 4 months old, and it's just
you just kind of hit the floor
I
running.
yes, I get to still running, and I love it. I mean, it's so much fun.
I
In
think
front of the
that's the
camera.
thing I like about cinema and movies in general, and it doesn't have to be hard, it could be anything, is that there is no age restriction of like when you're gonna
Hmm.
put out your good movie or when you can make a movie or when you can be get that leading role. Because if you look around Hollywood or anything like that, some of these directors were in their like older age when they did their big hits.
Hmm.
Some of their acting careers took off when they were in their 50s or 60s, like some of their
Hmm.
bigger roles, people like De Niro, like you have a whole bunch of people that just it's just a matter of when, and then there's
Hmm.
no time. Some of the people's earlier films weren't as good. It took them to mature in filming or take
Exactly.
time to learn because I mean there's an arc, and I've done a few short films myself. They're not that good, but I know that each one I do is better than the last, and that's the
Hmm.
arc I'm looking for. It's not getting worse.
Exactly, exactly. And I take advantage of people that I'm on set with. One of the TV shows that I'm on set with that I'm doing right now. There's been an actor. He's been acting since the '80s, and he's been on big feature films. And I ask him questions. I learn from him, and he is a phenomenal actor. And what I've learned and what I tell everybody that is interested in getting into it is know what you are willing to and willing not to do. Where is your line as far as an actor? What you are willing to do in front of a camera. Or if it's a horror film, most horror films, especially it's like an old '80s film, they would get you know you know very you know fewer clothes than they do
Well, yeah, I
nowadays.
mean, topless was almost the norm. You had
Yeah.
actresses like Lene Quigley that were almost more naked than not. Um, But I think part of it is it was used to soften the horror and also sex sells. I
Hmm.
mean, if you could get a bunch of
Exactly.
teenagers to watch something scary, because at the end of the day, horror wasn't a mainstream thing. It wasn't doing good in theaters. It did good on
Hmm.
VHS. It didn't do good in so much in blockbuster hits. So they needed to get people in there, and if they can get that teenager, that guy demo, with having a couple of topless girls in there, well, that's VHS sales. That's Friday
Exactly.
night movie
Exactly.
sales, and that's
Hmm.
where I think a lot of these movies became legendary. Anyways, was just
Hmm.
little mom and pop VHS releases.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street is probably the perfect example of that. I mean, it was good in theaters, but it wasn't until it hit VHS where you could just watch it at home on a Friday night, eat popcorn and pizza, and then just be scared in your own house that it blew up.
Yeah.
And that's honestly what I tell all my friends that want to do the acting is know where your limits are, know what you're willing and not willing to do, because if you're not willing to do that, you're not going to give your best performance, and it's going to be very uncomfortable for you as well as your co-stars.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're working on, I mean, I'd say unless you're a major star and you're working on a budgeted film that can say, "Hey, okay, we can adhere to your demand. You'll do all this acting, but we'll bring in a body double for the nudity
Hmm.
scenes."
Yeah,
And there is
exactly.
people that are like that. There's a few
Hmm.
actresses in Hollywood that will like that. But for the indie scene, that's usually not going to happen. I mean,
No,
um,
no. I mean, the horror
and
film that I'll be doing in just a couple of weeks, a friend of mine is going to be uh, doing a scene like that. You know, she's nervous. Obviously, this is the first time she's ever done it, but she's willing to do her best performance by doing a scene like that. And we both read the script. We read it with the director and the writer that wrote it, and it's a scene that actually is going to be very very good. You don't want to just throw a scene like that and it just means nothing for the film. But it's actually going to be a very vital scene that actually builds up for another character and stuff like that.
oh no, I mean, and it's all done with professionalism. I mean, I
Hmm.
I was at a convention last year I went to, and they were doing a Halloween 3 panel, and Tom Atkins was there talking about that kind of intimate scene he had in the movie with the actress, and she was there as well. I'm not her name's gonna slip, but he basically said it was just in that room to be naked, and with that scene, it was just two, four people, just them two,
Hmm.
the cinematographer, and basically the director, and that is it. They try to bring the most minimalist staff into those
Hmm.
scenes because of privacy, A and B. It's just very uncomfortable, as
Hmm.
it is. 'Cause it's not really natural. It's all everything's forced. And yes, it's not like things are really happening. You're not filming, a pornographic video. There's a lot of cinematic magic in that too. But at the end of the day,
Hmm.
you are some parts naked and not naked and this and that. It's just like it's awkward because, like you said, some of these people you just met an hour ago.
Exactly, exactly. I've had the lucky benefit of being most of my films and TV shows that I'm currently doing or have done. I've been on at least one of the days with somebody I personally knew, because when you go in this, certain areas, especially nowadays, you never know what can happen, and you want to be on there with somebody at least or you're friends with, at least to start with, and then once you get comfortable with everybody else, it's a different story. But it's a little nerve wracking when you just met somebody 5 minutes ago. Now you're about to go to makeup, and then you got this scene where you're supposed to, kiss them or something like that. So
Yeah, and you
it
never
can be a
know.
little
Like you're
nerve
kind of thinking in the back of your head, even though you know it's him. It's like, well, should I really do this? Do they really want this? Like,
wracking.
there's all these kind of
Exactly.
weird questions coming in.
Hmm. And you always, the number one question that you always want to ask your co-star is, are you comfortable with what we're about to do? Are you comfortable with where my hands at? Are you comfortable with this? You want to know their comfortability with that scene you're doing.
Yeah, no, and rightfully so. I mean, everybody on set should have that right to be comfortable. You want the set to be, feel safe. You want people to want to be
Hmm.
on there, but because you hear about these nightmare horror stories on certain things or bigger studios where there's always been all this misconduct, and it's like it's not a good
Hmm.
scene. It makes the workers very tense, or they just want to quit, or they quit, or and
Hmm.
it's just a hostile work environment. It doesn't even and it's not just movies. It happens in all. I think all businesses. It
Oh
eventually
yeah.
there is some level of that. Where
Hmm.
anybody has power, there's always abuse of it. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, I mean, female stars take the brunt of it, but there's also, I think, male actors too out there that get that too. And it was the same in the wrestling world. Like, yeah, there was about, all the women wrestlers getting hit in their DMs, but a lot of the guys were too with weird ass questions. Like, don't forget them too. And it's anybody in entertainment, I think, gets kind of hit with that. But now let me ask you, how is it like? You did have an impressive IMDb, and you've been a lot, but in those early days, was it like just working for the credit? Were you just trying to just get your name out there?
I
Do you have an
did the first ones I
agent?
did were. I have an agent now. It's a slow process trying to because your headshot has to be a certain way. You sign morality clauses with most places, so getting used to what you can and can't be in public, getting used to saying, "Hey, I'm on this film, but I can't go into too much detail because you signed a clause with the film company with that you won't say." Any at the beginning it was background roles like background roles are good because it gives you a taste of it. You don't have to learn the lines, you just have to learn how you're walking and stuff like that. So I tell a lot of people do background roles first because the first background role I did, I was a biker. It was with a film with a couple big stars from Hollywood in it, and I dressed like a biker. It was great. It was just getting used to working from 6 o'clock in the evening to 6 o'clock in the morning, and then turn around and go do my daytime job. So you only get like 2 hours sleep for several days in a row. So you have to make sure you're safe that way also. But it was a little different at first. It's not like a normal 9 to 5 kind of job. The interview process is not normal 9 to 5 job you're interviewing for. The audition process is a little different, getting used to, but it's fun. It's enjoyable. It can be a little stressful. You're going to get so many more no's than you will yeses. So you just don't get yourself discouraged. That was the one thing I had to learn when I first started was not to be discouraged in what I'm doing, and know that moving forward that I'm doing the best I can, and that eventually will work out to. Sorry, I had to get my charger. It will work out for you in the long run if you keep pushing yourself, keep doing better every time. So your question is a very very important question because that's a lot of people don't realize that it can be very hard. It can be very stressful at first. It can be exhausting, and you get here no 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 no. You get discouraged very quickly. So keeping yourself upbeat is the number one thing, and then don't jump on the first time you first agent that comes after you. That may not be the correct fit for you. Um,
And
don't
it's,
just
I
jump
guess
on
it's all
every.
about where you want to go with it too. I mean, like for
Yes.
instance, I mean, I want to make films. I've made a few shorts. I have plans to, shoot with another director and make a couple more shorts and shoot some features and so forth. But I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do some acting. So, like for instance, I went into a few local groups. I found people who were just looking for actors, looking for different scenes.
Mm-hmm.
There was no money involved, just that IMDb credit, and
Mm-hmm.
experience. And that's all I really want. I don't need to get paid for time. It was local, so it was like not no. So there was one scene I picked up. I die on a bench. I take a bite of a sandwich and I fall over
Mm-hmm.
poison. It took about, maybe 40 minutes to do. It was very simple. It was just three of us there. Director was there with the camera. Boom, boom, boom. Everybody shot it. It wasn't like I had to sit on set all day. I've been on stuff where you had, though. And it can be, depending on the project. You could be there eight
Mm-hmm.
hours. You could be there 16 hours. It,
Mm-hmm.
it all just depends on what's going on. Some directors will be like, you know what? We're gonna get you the people that got their scene, we'll try to get you out as quick as possible. Other people are like everybody's here to the end. And and
Exactly.
and that can happen too. Just hope that the catering's good. I mean, that's all that you can really hope for at that point.
Exactly.
Um
Exactly. I mean, I've been on sets where you got to sit down in an air conditioned room while you're waiting on set because what a lot of people don't realize it's not you're not filming all day. You may have 3 scenes the whole day, and you may have to rush, and then you're waiting. And you may do that. You may do one of those 3 scenes. It may take an hour because they're doing different camera angles, different lightings, and um, then you sit down and you may be 3 more hours you wait. You're just sitting there. So I tell everybody, you know, bring a book. Bring stuff you can, bring stuff you can pass the time with because, or just read your script over and over, and everybody laughs at you. And then, like you said, the projects you may take a project that's unpaid, and that's really to help your acting ability, help craft that talent you have. And you may or may not get paid for every project. So I do tell everybody that because even if it's not a paid project, use it as experience. Use it for your IMDb credit. Use it as your resume building, and you may
And
learn
also,
something.
I think also use it for like if you are into the filmmaking and aspect of it, you use it almost of a scratch back system. Hey, I'll do
Hmm.
that for that, but hey, I need a sound guy. I know that you're key on sound too. Come do my
Hmm.
sound for me, and you kind of make a
Hmm.
repertoire. So then your cost for your film becomes even less. You
Exactly.
know. And you see that
Uh,
commodity. I've seen that kind of like I don't know that kind of group people mentality get together in the indie community with certain projects and films where everyone's just bringing to the table what they do best and then working on each other's
hmm.
projects. So like you got 5 directors putting out films and they've all helped
Hmm.
each other do it, and it's nice to
Exactly.
see.
It is. That's why I said that, and that's what honestly I fell in love with the acting right off the bat was the camaraderie you have with each other because you're there and you guys, first time getting on a set, even a big feature to a short film, you're really nervous. At least I was personally. I was very nervous when I started because being in front of a camera is not as easy as people think. It's very nerve wracking because I'm not a very small guy. I'm actually a very heavy set guy, and the camera's not very friendly to bigger people either. 'Cause it adds weight to you. So you're like, is this the right thing for me? And I have friends that I have actor friends that I've met, of course, in the last couple of months that encourage me to keep going, that push me. And that's another thing I like is you push each other, you help each other, you have each other's back. You're a sounding board because when you get out there and you start having, like you said, IMDb credit, you start having film out there. The one thing you don't want to do is be in public and have a meltdown. That's the last thing you want because you don't want, like I do faith based projects, I do horror films, I do action, suspense, the whole 9 yards. And the one thing you don't want to be is in the public and in front of kids, especially me doing a faith based project. I don't want to be in front of kids and have a meltdown in front of those because those kids are going to see you as the character you are, and you want those kids to come up to you and say, "Man, have your autograph." And that's the best thing in the world is to see the eyes light up with those kids and those adults that are watching you, and they just love the characters you're portraying. And I was on set, I think it was 3 weeks ago, and we were filming, and people were doing a hike in the woods because we were filming in the woods for these scenes, and they stopped and they were just shocked and they were so happy that we took the time out of our day just to take pictures with them, which, it wasn't anything for us. Those were fans. Without them, we would not be doing what we're doing. I mean, those are the individuals you want to be
You want
happy when
people
they
to
see
watch the film, but you want also people that can connect and not
you.
just
Yes,
watch one film, but watch all your films. Go back and watch everything
exactly.
because they're like that's somebody that I like, I enjoy.
Exactly, exactly. I think the
You know,
actors off the show Supernatural said it the best. I mean, the fans are what they do it for. I mean, that is 100% what you do it for. So when you see somebody in public that, I mean, I've gone after we got set and I've had makeup all day. I had plaster on my face doing a horror film where the creature rips my jaw off. And I had plaster still on my face. I looked like I've been in a car wreck and I went to go eat dinner afterwards because the makeup was just set there. I couldn't get it off. So people were just looking at you really funny. You're having to explain, I did a movie. I was in a
oh
car
yeah,
wreck in the movie.
oh yeah.
So,
Even just like I said, a lot of the stuff I wear many hats, so a lot of it I do everything, but I work in local areas. I work towards, there's a local cemetery that I do a lot of shooting at, um, in different places, and sometimes I do have to dress up like that or put in gear or makeup because I'm
mhm,
doing the other part of it, and people will stop and ask. And it was the same in like
mhm,
wrestling too. I remember because I got into a lot of the cinematic aspect of wrestling, like filming kind of these cinematic matches with people. So I ended up getting a bunch of people together and we ended up doing a cemetery show. And like I said, you don't need permits for any of this stuff in mass. as long as there's no explosives, guns, fires, anything like that. But I didn't take into account that maybe people would like look out their window and see two grown guys fighting and call the police. So they called the police right away, and the cops come right in, and I got these two guys just going, and they look up at me, and I'm just like, no, keep it rolling. And I went to go talk to the police, and he's like, we got to report that there's people fighting, and I'm like, yeah, as you can see, they're pro wrestlers. Like,
Mhm.
I got a cameraman here, I got other people here, like. And they're like, "Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. You mind if
Mhm.
I chill for a second?" Like they just like the officer just chilled for a second and watched. And he took a picture with my kid. Like my kid saw the
Mhm.
cops, so he's like, "Oh, I want to take a picture with him." And it just became this whole like moment with the officer. The wrestlers were finishing their match. It's just like
Mhm.
it's cool. And it's the same thing. Like I look at that as like filming movies too. Though you're gonna go out there and you're gonna be in these crazy, wardrobes or whatever, and you might not have time to, or even the possibility to get out of makeup before you go into a store or buy a drink or get a
Mhm.
glass of water, whatever you do. So sometimes you're going in there and you're fully character. People just look at you like you're freaking. You got to explain like, look, okay, I'm shooting such and such like da da da.
Yeah, that's what I had to do when I got gas and went to eat, and they were looking at me because I had plaster still on my face. I had like a road rash look, makeup, way it looked on my face, it looked like road rash. I was like, I just got done filming a horror film. I couldn't get all this off. I'm really tired and I wanted to go home. I said, I'll just go wash it when I get home. And then I did not think it one bit that when I walked in somewhere, somebody was going to look at me like that. But then when you explain to it, it's like you said, it's actually kind of cool because they're like, can I take a picture with you? Can I get, you sign this for me? Stuff like that. So that's where the fun part is when people are so excited of what you do because they want to do it too, but at the same time they're nervous. Like I said, when I did it first time in front of the camera, because the one thing you don't want to do, unless it's purposely for that scene, you don't want to stare at the camera and look at it because then it just throws it all off. You pretend that's not there. It's a little different, especially when you're doing this really serious scene and you kind of look up and your job is to look around the room and you got people behind the camera busting out laughing and you cannot laugh when they're doing that. It messes up the scene. And I've done that where we've had to retake it because you could not stop laughing. And it was this real
Yeah, I think
serious
I think
scene.
that's one of the most contagious things on set sometimes is just the
Hmm.
laugh. People get into these serious moments and all of a sudden somebody gets the giggles and everybody just starts laughing. And it's very hard to
Hmm.
stop that momentum and everybody's gonna almost reset. Stop, stop, cut.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay, let's go.
Exactly, exactly. And the one thing I did learn and I go back to the background role for that big feature film, the one thing I did learn when I was with the actors is one was the division between background extras and cast, the leads and stuff like that. I didn't realize there was that wall. Somebody had to explain it to me because it was a little different for me to learn that. And number two is when you're a quote unquote feature background, which means you're in the scenes with the leads and the big actors that have the dialogue and stuff, is every time you hear the word cut and they're resetting the camera, you just can't move because they're resetting the camera for the next footage of that scene that they want to do. Is especially if it's a serious role, is to make everything a little bit lighter because everybody's got to be serious on the camera for however long they're filming. But you don't want to be serious the whole time. You got to like loosen up a little bit, laugh, carry on, have a good time. And so, we're me and the one guy we were joking around. Everybody was cutting up and trying to laugh and have a good time. We're playing these serious bikers, and you don't, and you're being serious, and you're about to beat somebody up because they did something to you, and you don't want to be like that when they say cut because you want to be approachable, you want to have a good time, and everybody again is enjoying it. So you're dancing, you're laughing, you're cutting up, you're making jokes, and then when they say action, you're back in character. So that's also really fun is when you can go cut, and I try to do impersonations. I try to do voices now that I've gotten that taste, and so on sets that I'm the lead or I'm the supporting cast. They say cut. I'm trying to do trying to lighten the mood up with these serious roles and trying to make everybody laugh and trying to
So I think
be.
people like people don't realize that like yeah, you see a scene in a movie and you got to realize that scene's been shot with like 20 shots maybe. They're going to go over
Mhm.
the shoulder, they're going here, they're going close-ups.
Mhm.
And unless they're running all these cameras at the same time, they're doing the same scene multiple times.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's what I think takes a lot of time in cinema. It's not so much even the retakes and such. It's more that every shot's got to be shot a few times, and then each
Hmm.
shot has multiple camera angles that need to be shot a few times, and then that's
Yeah,
just one scene, and then we're doing that for the whole movie.
exactly. Unless you, like you said, you're lucky and they have multiple cameras set up all the way around, except for like the close-ups. Because those no those took me a little time to get used to, as the close-ups with the cameras just on you. So you're having to basically carry that one scene by yourself, just because the camera's right on you. But that did take me a little time to get used to, because you don't have anybody to work off of when you're doing those scenes. It's just you and the camera. So you're trying to have, and if you're lucky enough, you'll have an actor on the back behind the camera, and you can have your point to look at, your point of contact, or maybe they're reading the lines, so you can work off those lines, because otherwise you're having to memorize where their stopping points were, so you're not saying your lines too fast or too slow,
And you got to
and you're
keep
not
the
looking at
emotion
the
going. You want to,
yes.
if they're saying something that's going to make you mad, you want to act mad, not start laughing.
Exactly. And it's very hard if you don't have somebody, at least for me, and it's not as hard now as it was, but when I first had those, it was very hard to get used to looking past the camera at somebody you're quote unquote looking at, and hoping that when they've edited together, your hand's not here in one take and your hand's over here in the other take.
Let me ask you: is it really hard? Because I mean, the one thing that I think, I don't know, it would just be kind of hard for me, and I hear other people say I don't think they could be an actor because of, is that, yes, the, small roles are one thing, but when you get into these more lengthy roles, you got to remember a lot of lines. Is it hard to do so?
Uh, I, it is. So actually, I was talking to a coworker at the company I work at. That's not part of the acting today. And she was asking me the same, almost identically with what you were asking me, ironically enough. And I said, what I do is when I get the script the first time, I'll read the script, trying to get the emotion, because some scripts you may get, and they'll give you your line. They'll say what emotion they want you to portray. Most scripts, not so much. They'll just give you the line, and depending on the context of the scene, you will express the emotion you think is appropriate for that character for that specific time. So that's one part. And then the good thing about acting is it's very rarely filmed A through Z. You may film A, but then you may jump all the way to W. So I always tell everybody, keep a paper copy of the script on set with you. So when they go that, even though you've already read the script, you kind of jump. You also got to look at that set. So while they're setting up, you want to look at that scene you're about to go and say, okay, this is where my point is. This is where I say my line. So yes, it is very difficult to memorize all that, but keep in mind that they're going to block those scenes, so that way you may only have one line in the scene that they're about to do, not 30 lines.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and always
and
yeah, and always voice your concern. So if you think you're not going to hit those points right, or you didn't hit those points right, ask the director, can we reshoot that, or how was that? Make sure you're very transparent on what you're wanting as well.
no, and I always figured if you can, kind of follow along with the shooting schedule of, hey, you're shooting
Hmm.
scene, 3, 5, and 9, on day
Yes.
2, day 3, we're doing that. You just kind of remember those lines for that day or those time
Oh yeah.
slots.
Yes. And I'm glad you brought that up. That's the other thing. Actors, especially newer actors, they got to get used to the. Oh, I just went blank. What it was. It's the call sheet where, like it says, this we're doing scene 2, we're doing scene 5, we're doing scene 10. And like I said, it's very rarely. I don't think I've been on a set yet. Even the TV shows that I'm doing, that we go in chronological order. I mean, we may shoot scene 1 and 2 of episode 1 on this TV show, and then tomorrow we're shooting episode 5, scene 3 and 4, because the
Yeah, I
way
mean,
that
unless
because
honestly, I believe unless it's a really small project, like a one, two, three, maybe 5-person project, you're
Mhm.
not gonna shoot chronological because now you're
Mhm.
playing with sets and scenes in different locations. Single location,
Mhm.
you might be able to get through it all just chronological, but otherwise you have to wait for the right days, and sometimes that don't happen. Or there's only days that you've rented certain spots and so forth. So your scenes that your opening scene might have, be in a bank. You've rented the bank Thursday. Well,
Mhm.
you can't wait till Thursday to start shooting. You got other scenes you can do Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You got a chase scene, a car scene. So you shoot
Mhm.
those. And then, you just make sure that as everybody, the whole, the setup makes sure that, you're wearing the same clothes when you go back, and
Oh
everything
yeah.
kind of looks like it looks the same. But even Hollywood screws up. You'll go back and see, like, shirts have changed colors, and
Hmm.
the continuality isn't there. And sometimes there's little errors in that. But for the most part, you kind of make sure the timeline all fits, and that's the editing process again, you know, putting everything in order. But no, and I mean, even weather can, depending on what you're shooting and where, the weather can play a problem. It starts snowing and it wasn't snowing in the scene that you were shooting outside the day before. That's a problem. It's all
Hmm.
supposed to
Hmm.
be in the same day.
Exactly. And most call sheets will have a main area we're going to shoot at, and then they also have a backup area in case the weather changes. And then they may say, "Hey, we're going to do this, but we're going to do these scenes instead." So that's why I always tell everybody, even today's day and age with cell phones and laptops and everything like that, keep a paper copy. It's easier to write on a piece of paper than, at least for me, because I'm not really a technological person. But it's to have a paper copy, so you can highlight that paper. You can write on there. You don't have to actually accidentally hit delete or something like
Yeah.
that. But no, I mean the
No.
acting. I mean it's so much fun, and that's why I tell everybody that asks me. I mean, I say if you think you might want to start with background role, start with that. That way you don't have to memorize those lines. You just have to memorize the scene you're going to be in and where you're going to be sitting and stuff like that.
Be a
But
zombie, right?
also,
Like, just be a
yeah,
walking
exactly. This,
zombie extra.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And know that you're going to be there for long hours. And also learn. And best way to do is also learn that etiquette, that procedures. Because, like I said, the one thing I had to learn, and it was a little different for me, is to find out that there is that wall basically between people that have dialogue and that are leads, that are supporting cast, and the ones that are background and extras. There is that dividing point, and a lot of times the background extras have their own point of contact that is to bring them on set when it's time. So that was something that was a little difficult for me to get used to, is that set etiquette of that.
No, definitely. And I think it's just all like kind of like a learning period. And like I said, depending
Hmm.
on what you get into first and most, some might be short films, some might be a feature, some might be a background, some might just, be an extra. But I think part of it, and the most important part of it, is just getting into it. Just taking the first step into it, see if you like it, see if it's for
Hmm.
you,
Hmm.
you know.
But and don't let those scripts and those lines freak you out at all, because you're going to mess up a line. I say on set every time that the first scene that I shoot, I am guaranteed to mess up a line, the first line that I do. That's what I tell everybody. And that's honestly what I tell everybody, is that the first line, the first scene that I shoot, I'm going to mess up my line. That's like my guaranteed thing on set. And it happens every time I shoot something. Every time I shoot something new, the first line I'm gonna flub somehow. I'm gonna mess it up somehow, and that's just my thing.
Well, I mean, it isn't messing up, honestly, part of the creative process. I mean, when no one's
Yeah,
perfect. So, I mean, expect to have cuts, expect to screw up on
exactly.
set.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I've seen cases, I've heard cases, I love the extra features, or seeing panels and stuff. Sometimes these mess ups become what stays because
Hmm.
they just had something about them, or it just worked. It might not have been what, the writer wrote, but it worked with the actor. It
Hmm.
sounded from heart. It sounded more pure. They rolled with it, and that's
Exactly.
sometimes it happens. The editor puts in what they put in. Um,
Exactly. Exactly. And
but
that's honestly, like, horror films are great about that, because the one thing I've had to learn with, like, the couple horror films I've done, the one I've got coming up, or actually the three that I got coming up, is to learn to be scared in the moment, be frightened in the moment. Sometimes that's hard to show on camera when you're not really scared.
Yeah, how
That's
like
why,
how do you fake fear? Like, that's not an easy. For me, that wouldn't be an easy emotion to fake. I can fake getting angry. I can fake laughing, but how do I fake true
yeah,
fear?
it's your mindset. So find something that scares you. If you're a parent, how would you feel if something happened to your kid? I mean, If
You
something happened
see,
to kids,
you bring in
how that
something relative.
yes, you want to bring something. You want to relate to the scene that you're doing, to the emotion to, and that is one thing that a lot of people have a hard time doing. That I've known, that a handful of people I do know that I've worked with, and they are phenomenal at this. And they say the same thing about me. I do not know, because it's hard to criticize yourself, or your worst critic, is to put a little bit of yourself into that character, especially something that you are looking forward to, and put a little piece of yourself. I mean, don't go all the way like Heath Ledger did with the Joker, but go a little bit of that. Frighten yourself a little bit. If you're doing a horror film and the scene says scream, scream. Let it all out. You know, um,
Well, I mean, how about films that allow you to have a little bit more creative flow with your character when you go in? Do you take
oh
advantage of that? Do you kind of
yes,
extend
100.
yourself?
Yes, 100%. One of the TV shows that I'm on right now, it's a faith-based TV show, and I'm actually I do three roles on this TV show, and each role I have to stand a different way. My voice has got to be different. The way my facial expression has got to be different. Of course, makeup's all there, so you don't know I'm doing three roles in front of the camera. But I'm also a producer, and the one thing that we do is build those characters. The horror film that I'm doing in just like 2 weeks from now, in the great state of Oklahoma, uh, is another one. Build a character, and you like those directors and those writers that allow you to make suggestions to your character. Hey, do you want me to gray my beard out? Do you want me to have silver hair if I'm supposed to be an older character? Um, do you want me to, you know, walk a certain way? Do you want me to? This is the way I see the character. What do you? First you want to start with your character description. You want to see what their vision of that character is, and you want to mold that character to you. And you want to, if you're seeing where you got this like strut that you walk in, you want to take advantage. You want to go and be 100% in it. You want to enjoy it. I mean, that's where the
Yeah,
enjoyable
but you
part.
can, and I think that's where you see these distinctive characters, even within the same roles. Like a Heath Ledger Joker is much different than a Jack Nicholson Joker, but
Oh,
both are
100%. Yes,
great. Both are
yes.
great, but they're both very distinctively different.
Hmm.
And
And that's
you see that sometimes even with like movies like Halloween and franchise films. Not
mhm.
Nightmare on Elm Street so much because Robert Englund did most of it except that remake. But in other horror films, you have different actors portraying these characters. Some of them portray them just a little bit different or have a
Mhm.
little bit different of a look, and sometimes it can make the difference. And you know we like
Oh
that
yeah.
one better. We don't like that one better.
Hmm. And 100. I mean, 100% on that. That's why when you work with such, I've been very lucky in this. When you work with such phenomenal actors and actresses, learn from them, see how they do it. Don't want to mimic them because you want to make it your own, but see how they portray a homeless person. Did they study with? Did they study? Did they research? Like I had a role that got canceled, but I had a role that I was going to be in a horror film that I was going to play an exorcist. I mean, study a little bit of the exorcism. Study, if it's Catholic priest that you're portraying for the exorcism, go meet a Catholic priest. Pick their brain. Let them know, hey, I'm doing this role. I want to portray it right. I want to pick your brain. How do
So
you do
try
in
to
this
keep
instance?
things authentic on camera, and
Yes, yes, yeah,
and authentic within the characters that you get casted. Don't.
yeah,
And I think
yeah,
that makes you
definitely.
more, honestly, it makes you more marketable. I mean, if you can play a really good priest, if you can play a really good detective, you can play a really good
Hmm.
these key roles, then you're gonna get, used a lot of times as these roles. Like Steven Seagal, for instance, take it out of the genre. He's very good as as a cop and an action guy. He got
Oh
booked as
yeah.
a cop and an action guy a lot. Um, so
Jim Carrey. I mean, Jim Carrey. I mean, he did comedy for years, then turned around and did very serious role. Robin Williams, same thing, and that just shows that range of ability you can as an actor. Like I've done a little bit of stunt work. The horror film again. I'll be doing in a couple weeks. I'll be doing some more stunt work. Like I'm gonna be shot, which I'm actually looking forward to that. Which is weird to say, but I'm gonna be shot, and they're gonna hook me up, and the blood's gonna splatter everywhere.
now do they use
So,
like? Let me ask. Do they use like blanks? Do they use like just a prop gun and then have the explosion?
Your best bet, just because of safety reasons, you want to use a prop gun, and you want to make sure everybody, including yourself, touches that gun because you don't want anything accidentally going off. So, different camera angles and things like that. Because one thing you don't want to do is get act incorrectly, like they did with Brandon Lee on The Crow, and your actors are shot literally by accident and they get killed on set. And it's the worst thing you can have happen because again, you're there all, even though it's a horror film, you're there to make movie magic. You're there to make something that the fans are going to love and go, hey, I want a part two of this. I want a part three of this. Why did you kill that character off? Like when I watched the TV show Game of
Yeah,
Thrones, every time
no,
I turn
and
on,
nobody
they kill
wants
a character
somebody to
off.
die for real. But
Yeah.
I think back in the day, nobody ever thought of that. They figured, well, we're using blank guns, no one's gonna get killed.
Hmm.
But now it
Exactly.
seems
Yeah.
like, blank guns are really hard to get a permit for.
Hmm.
You might as well just use a rubber gun or something and just film it, in a way that it looks realistic, and then do everything else with, physical effects.
Yeah. Yeah. CGI and all that. I
Um,
mean, with AI and CGI we have nowadays, it's so easy to do a scene like that, and the fake guns look so real now that it's hard to tell the difference. And I mean, I grew up around guns, and holding those, they have to weight like a real gun, so that you're able to hold it a little bit better. And as long as your actor or actress is willing to do, I mean, a little bit of stunt work, it makes it even better. So you're not having to have a double there to do the same scene, things like
yeah.
that.
And like I said, and then you add the physical. Like you said, you got some kind of pack and explode, you got some fake blood gushing, it looks real, everything
Yeah,
looks real. It's like boom.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I think, I mean, I'm a big practical effects person. I mean, especially with horror. I like VFX, but I just believe that it belongs in a lot of like sci-fi or action films where you need bigger
Yeah,
explosions, you need lasers, you need things that we don't have that exist. But in horror, we don't need a VFX knife. You can just use a
yeah,
knife and stab somebody, and there's physical
hmm,
practical effects to make this happen. And we have great
exactly.
practical effects artists out there that can make almost anything from decapitations to anything happen practically.
100%. I mean, and like I said, and that's why when you get on a small budget set, it's a little different than a medium or bigger budget set because when with the movie that we're filming again in a couple weeks, we're going to be filming at such a short amount of time that they have multiple makeup people there, and you know you have one or two actors assigned to a makeup person. So while this actor may be overdoing their scene in front of the camera, these actors over here getting maked up and all hair and makeup and wardrobe done for their next scene. So everybody's just constantly going, 90 to nothing, just trying to get everything done. And it's going to be great when you have multiple producers, you have multiple ADs, you got the director, writer, multiple makeup people, you got everybody that you can think of for these behind the scenes because again, without those individuals, we wouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, it all depends. I mean, like I said, there's no really, I don't knock any kind of production because just getting your vision to the next level, to the vision of even from your brain to a script and then from a script on to a film, you know, I mean, you've already succeeded. You've created something. It doesn't.
Exactly.
I mean, from if it's good or bad, that's a different topic. But you actually took the next step and got it out there, which a lot of people won't or can't or don't know how or
Mm-hmm.
just don't have it in them. And nowadays it's very easy to do it. And you don't need to buy this $50,000 camera, and you don't need to know how to cut
Mm-hmm.
physical media stuff. You can use your cell phone. There's people out there
Mm-hmm.
you can buy a very reasonable cinematic camera for like $1,500 and a couple of lenses for 300, and you can go off and
Mm-hmm.
shoot a very nice cinematic film. Learn,
Exactly.
teach yourself how to color grade in DaVinci. You can learn After Effects if needed, and you can actually have a finished product,
Mm-hmm.
and it won't cost you as much as it did, in the 80s or the 70s,
Oh,
to put out a film.
mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's a good
100%. 100%.
it's a good time to be wanting to be, I think, a filmmaker because we have, a lot of platforms too. You get a lot of social, you got a lot of things like Tubi and such, yes, but you also got a lot of social media platforms like YouTube and Facebook and stuff, which is especially for short films and people just getting started. It's a great platform because you're not looking to make
Mm-hmm.
money off of your project. You just want them to be seen. And so you can
Yes.
get into these small demographics of, groups of people that like these certain projects, and you can kind of push them to the proper demos rather than just the mass market of all horror people.
And ideally, if you get on YouTube, I mean, Cobra Kai that was started on YouTube got picked up by Netflix. I mean, that was
Yeah.
phenomenal. I mean, if you get on YouTube, you never know who may be watching. They may like that's not the kind of lighting we like, but we like the story. We like these actors. We want to bring you in and give you a budget that you can actually make this the level it needs to be. And that's what you honestly uh, want. You want somebody to bring you like HBO, Paramount, Hulu, any of those. Go, you know what? We're looking for something new that people can watch, people can relate to. People are going to love these characters. We want you to bring it
No,
on. This
and
is
that's it. I mean, I mean, I think even as like a filmmaker, or even working with people on films, you want to put something out that, even if it's lacking because of budget, it's the best it can be with whatever budget you put out. So if somebody with
Mhm.
money sees it, they're like, well, if I put a budget behind this thing will become, a masterpiece. And that's kind of what you want people to look at your film like. Like, it's okay if it's not perfect, but if it's investable, then that's when you can make it
Yeah,
marketable and you can make a little bit of a profit with it.
yeah, and especially if it's low budget, you can tell them how much your budget was to make this, or be like, you made this with that little money. I wonder what you can do with this dollar amount.
Yeah, and then that's when the creativity comes in. So I do believe filmmakers are very creative. They know how to, take the lowest, whatever the budget is, they're making their films work. So they're using whatever that's
Mhm.
around them for resources. They're using whatever, because, again, it doesn't matter whatever's around. I tell you, you could be in a burning building, everything could be burning, but as long as that what's in frame looks good, that's all that's
Mhm.
important. Then you can get out, you're done. The rest of it
Exactly,
doesn't have to
exactly.
look like anything. It can be trash. So, people just get creative in how they, film things. They don't have a diner, they make a diner in a basement.
Mhm.
They don't have a hotel room, they turn their bedroom into a hotel room. People have done crazy things, in small budget movies just to make sets work or look right. And I love to see that kind of creativity. It's innovation.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And that's why I tell you know, not only acting, but I have two other full time jobs that I do other than the acting. And if it wasn't for the ability that my jobs work with me like they do, I wouldn't be able to do the acting. And I do, and I started recently doing the TikTok videos showing people if you want to be an actor, learn, know your lines for number one. Again, that's what you're hired to do is know your lines, do those like you're supposed to, and do the emotion, and to get people invested in your characters. But I also take a video of the room I'm in because a lot of times people don't realize this unless you have family that come with you. You're alone. You're lonely. I mean, you're alone. You're in these rooms by yourself for the most time, and you're just there. I mean, it was I think it was last Friday that I did a video. I was in North Arkansas, and I took a video of my room. I showed it was like 1:30 and almost 2 o'clock in the morning, I think it was. And I had my script out, so I'm learning script. I'm about to shoot like in 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
So that's what I tell everybody. It's not only just the lines and all that, but you got to realize there's gonna be times you're by yourself. You're alone. I mean, unless your family can come with you, you're gonna be in hotel rooms by yourself. You're gonna be learning these lines, and maybe you may only get like 2 hours sleep. I think that night I got 2.5 hours sleep. So
No, I mean, I get it, and it is like that, I mean, unless you know people, like you said, sometimes on set you got friends or you met people, now you start to know people, you see same people, you can kind of mingle with them. But then again, people might not want to be bothered either
yes,
on
I
the
mean,
sets.
for me personally, I'll listen to some music, but when they're getting the sets set up, other than when I'm doing the coordinating producer part of the TV show I'm on, if I don't have to do anything for that for the actors, you'll usually if you're on set with me, you'll see me off to myself for the like right off the bat, beginning of the day. I'm over there and I've got my eyes closed. Usually I'm kind of just whispering to myself just because not only that in the hotel room, I'll end up standing in front of the camera I'm sorry, from the mirror for about an hour, just kind of saying the character's name, saying the description of the character. But I'll also be doing that a few minutes before we say action for the first time because you got to get in that mindset. You have to become that character, at least for those the scenes you're doing. You've got to be a character.
Yeah, you have to,
So yeah,
and I mean, I guess it's learning the I would say it's more of an art of turning that switch on and off between
Mhm.
yourself and the character you're playing, and being able to do that at almost will, because now you're on set, like you said, you're waiting, and then they're like, you're up next. Okay, now you gotta boom, you're in
Mhm. Mhm.
character, bam, because you don't want to be in
Yes.
character the whole day. You'll be really annoying. People will call you an
No.
asshole. Like it won't be
Exactly.
good.
Exactly. I mean, I've played villains and I've played heroes, and the one thing that is hard is when you're playing a villain and you've got to be this jerk in front of the camera where you may be saying words that you would never in your life say outside of the camera, and you're behind the camera, you're just like, please, just I just want to get this done and over with. It's a great script. I just got to get this done over with. It's a great script. You just got to keep telling yourself over and over, it's a great script, and then you turn around and you do a show you're a hero. You're the main uh, person that's going to be eventually the hero of the show. You're like, oh, this is so much better than being the villain. But they're both enjoyable, depending on what you're doing. And then you may be just a supporting cast, which is very important too. You're like, okay, I'm there for 2/3 of the film, and I'm going to die. But how do I want to die? If you don't want to just die and you die, you want to do a scene. You want to show that you can die in the scene. So it depending on your character is what your mindset has to be, like you said. And like I said, almost every time on set, at least before the first scene we shoot for that day, I'm over to myself, just kind of closing my eyes, just repeating to myself the character, the description, and just getting them focused. So when they say action for the first time, I'm in that character's mindset.
Yeah.
So,
No, we're just about out of time, but I got a few more questions.
okay,
One is, have
sure.
you ever been on set with anybody, or on like a set and got starstruck at all?
Uh, you try not to. It's hard not to. I have been on a set, like I said, the one I did to play the biker as background. I was on there with some bigger actors. One of the actresses, she was on the X-Men movie from 1999 with the
Oh
Hugh
wow.
Jackman and all that. She was a great actress. Uh, and I've been at the same set. I was on a guy, the same set. I was with the guy that was in the TV show, um, the Winter Soldier and Falcon TV show that's on
Yep.
Marvel. And they're both great. I mean, you hear these rumors about actors being jerks and stuff behind the scenes, but I've never had that experience. They've all been great. Again, you're
Probably
there to the
situational.
job. Yeah, yeah.
No, I mean, like I've seen, like, to bring it back to kind of like wrestling. Like you'll see wrestlers sometimes they'll be like jerks, but then you realize, hey, they just got underpaid for the show they worked. They spent 6 hours
Hmm.
in traffic. They lost money on the job. It's like they've already
Hmm.
taken it down. But
Yeah,
then you'll see them
and
like 2 months later at a different show, and they're doing great and they're having a good time and
yeah.
they're very happy because
Well,
it was a good
they're
day.
human. I mean,
Yeah,
actors are
exactly.
humans. And that's what a lot of people forget that you're not your character portraying on screen. You're a human being that's doing a job.
Yeah.
And you may be the biggest jerk on screen, but you're probably the nicest guy in person. And
That's most of the way. That's how most of it works. Most of the best villains are the nicest people that in
yeah,
person.
exactly,
Like,
exactly. Yeah, and when you see a star, when you're on a set with a star, you don't want to be like you said starstruck because then you have that wall between you and them because then your mind is like this is big
you're
star that I'm
inferior.
working with.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, this has been a great pleasure. Thank you. Very enlightening
Oh,
too. For those people that want to get in, it's like it's just like we all kind of said, just look around, look for roles you want to do, and
mhm,
kind of just try. Right? Just keep trying.
exactly. Try it. And don't and
Um.
don't give up. I mean, keep going, keep chasing that dream, and keep doing what you want to do. And hopefully, you have like I'm very lucky to have the jobs that I do with the window company that I work at, and they allow me to do this thing because they encourage their employees here to follow their dream, to chase their dream, because they're very family oriented. And I mean, our motto at this company is one family, and that's what we are. So when they found out that I was doing acting, they were very encouraging of that.
Yeah.
And so hopefully everybody out there that wants to do it, they have the actually same situation I do. But like you said, just go out there and chase that dream, enjoy it, and have fun when you're doing it. I mean, the one thing you don't want to do is be on set and be stressed out because what's the point of that? I mean,
Yeah. No.
what's the point?
It should
Have
be fun.
fun.
It
I
should be a
mean,
passion. It should be something you
yes,
enjoy.
Yeah,
Well, where
100%.
can folks find you if they want to, follow you and what you're doing out there and all the projects you're at? Where can they find you?
Uh,
You do social media and stuff, IMDb.
Social media, I'm on TikTok. I am IMDb. My name, Derrick Avant. I'm IMDb. You can get me on, like I said, TikTok. You can get me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. Please reach out if you guys, if you're anybody that's watching this wants to ask questions. Please, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. If you see me out in public, please come up and talk to me. I mean, I'll take pictures with you. I will. I'll sign an autograph for you. I mean, I want you guys to want to watch any of the projects that I'm involved in. Watch these phenomenal actors that I get a chance to work with. I mean, they're very passionate about what they do, and come, if you see me at a restaurant, just come up to say, take my hand. So let me know you saw me on the show, and and if you have any questions, please ask. I'm more than happy to talk to anybody about it. I'm very passionate about the acting. I love it very much, and I want to eventually to be what I do for 100% of my living is to be an actor in front of the camera.
Awesome, awesome. I love it. Well, thank you for taking the time. I
Yeah,
really
yeah,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
And thank you, everybody at home, for watching. And as always, stay
100%.
spooky, everyone. We're out of here. Have
Thank
a good
you.
night.